problem solve low show up rates. So if your show up rates right now is below 65%, that's not ideal. Ideal show up rate is 65% or higher. Okay, so as a closer, there are things you can control and there are things you cannot control. As an example, as a closer, you cannot change the ad targeting of the leads, but you can control the manual call confirmation process. So just focus on what you can control first. The things we cannot control, like marketing, things like that, bring that up to the sales manager, the tech team, or the marketing team. And start with changing one thing at a time in your call confirmation process. And the reason why we want to start with changing one thing at a time is because if we change too many things at once, we don't know what did what. So for example, if you change what you say in the email, if you change what you say in the text, if you start adding calls, if you add 3 things and your show rate drops or increase, how do you know which one did what? So now you don't know, right? So you want to start changing one thing at a time. This goes with not just fixing your low show rate, but with anything. On your sales call, if I ask this question, or if I change the pitch this way, if you change too many things in the same thing, you don't know what did what, so you cannot problem solve. That's why even though it's boring, even though it takes longer, quote unquote, right? You want to do one thing at a time. And ironically, it'll be a quicker way this way because now you can actually accurately assess what's going on. Instead of you trying to mumble jumble a bunch of things and you don't know what's going on, you got to start from the start again. Okay. And start with changing a variable that's the easiest to fix that also you believe to be the problem. For example, changing the business's VSL is a lot more difficult and takes longer, takes more effort than you changing what you say in the call confirmation email, for example, right? So I went through this process. You want to approach this like an engineer would, like a systems engineer. So like take all emotions to the side. I know we're humans, we have emotions. And when we talk to prospects, we want to elicit emotions from them. But when we problem solve our sales process, our skill set, when we problem solve anything in our life, we want to take emotions to the side, look at it as objectively as possible. So when I went through this process, when I hopped on my last offer, my show rate was anywhere between 30 to 40%. Pretty bad. And then as I went through this process, not overnight, but I got to about 65 to 70%. Okay. Everyone else on my offer, their show rate is anywhere between 30 to 40%, 50% at best. They started rolling out this. Yeah, there's a sales call confirmation, like the text templates and things like that. By going through this, they were also able to get it to like 55, 60%, 65%, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, there's 3 types of quote unquote no-show. Okay, so just because a prospect doesn't show up doesn't mean it's a no-show. There's a no-show where they don't even tell you, they don't respond, they don't show up. That is a no-show. Cancel is, hey, can you cancel my call? So they don't reschedule. Hey, I don't want to do the call. That's a cancel. A reschedule request is, hey, something came up. Can we reschedule? Can we do tomorrow? That's a reschedule request. Reason why we want to distinct these 3 things is because depending on, and you want to track this on your tracker as well. I'll add the tracker template to the modules as well. But the reason why you want to do that is because depending on what these things are, what you need to change in your confirmation process may be different. So as an example, if you're getting a ton of no-shows, are they not getting reminded, right? Or if you're getting tons of reschedule requests, what is going on? Because also depending on your demographic, the reason why they don't show up may change. As an example, so at my last offer, I was selling to salespeople. And so I'm like, why is the show rate so low, like 40, 50%? I don't understand. And I realized I kept getting, hey, I got called into a work meeting. Can we reschedule? Or I got something like they no-showed, and then like a few hours after that, hey, so sorry, I got a call from my customer. Can we reschedule? I was like, oh, that makes total sense. These people are salespeople. Therefore, they're going to take the call where they can make money from their prospect, then show up to my sales call where they have to pay money. That makes sense. So what do I got to do? Well, if that's the case, what is happening there is they're valuing the meeting with their boss or their sales call with their prospect more than the sales call with me. So how can I fix that? Well, I got to make them value the sales call with me higher than the other things. So that's when I was like, I put more effort into increasing the perceived value of the sales call. Now, how do we do that? Is we're going to talk about it later in this video as well, but by setting specific case studies to their specific problem, their specific industry, their situation, and a client case study of a client that got the desired outcome they wanted. For example, they stopped getting objections, they got to 20 grand a month, they could retire their wife, those things like that, you know? And or going over the process where like really tactical, really useful, that made them feel like, oh, these guys know what they're talking about, not just empty promises. So that made them, I had sales calls where like people would hop on, it's like, yeah, man, like I thought about not showing up, but the reason why I'm here is because you sent me that video. And I'm like, that's really actually useful and valuable. So I wanted to hear more about what you have to say, so on and so forth, right? That's better than a no-show. And so you want to kind of problem solve, like, why are people not showing up? So it depends on the offer, but let's go to the usual common ones, okay? Number 1, they forget. No fucking shit. So why does this happen? Because either they were not being reminded, or they were booked too far out, or it was a bad time, meaning that it was too early or too late to their time zone or their situation. So for example, this is one of the calls that I was auditing. In this calendar, you could book as far as 4 days out. So the problem with that is if it goes over more than 2 days, then the likelihood of them no showing just increases. Okay, it's either they forget or they got excited when they saw the VSL or the ad, they booked the call, and then the emotions fizzle out. So you want to be either the same day or the next day. Okay, let's say today's Monday, right? Today, Tuesday, Wednesday at the most. Okay, and I've had people fix this, and then they shortened from like 4 days to 2 days out, and all of a sudden their show rate went from like 50% back to 65 to 70, just from that. Okay, and this is easy, right? You just fix your fucking calendar on one software calendar, and so there's one. Number two, they get annoyed. So number one is they get underwhelmed, right? They forget. Number two is they get overwhelmed, meaning that they get annoyed from too many confirmation texts, emails, or calls, or the confirmation text looks too automated. This is one example, right? Hey, Ronald, noticed that you finished the interview preparation video. How did you find it? As a gift, I unlocked the first video of the bootcamp. You'll actually learn everything you need to know about HTML to make 6 figures. As a this, and then link, and then this. I'm like, dude, that's just too much. You know what I mean? Like, that's just too much. So, like, people are gonna be like, what is this? It's like, it looks bulky, so they don't want to respond to it. And they value the sales call less than what they decide to do during that time. So it's what we mentioned earlier, meaning that they went to the grocery store, they went to the gym, they took a work meeting, whatever, right? So why does this happen? Because of lack of problem awareness, solution awareness, or brand awareness, meaning that they don't feel the problem, they don't know about the solution that much, or they don't know about the desired outcome that is possible, so on and so forth. Okay. Number 4, they feel sales pressure between the moment they book the call to the day of the call. So it could be that whether from the things your SDR said in the DMs or on the call, or the content from the business, like the emails or text reminders, okay, they were assumptive or they were too excited, meaning that, oh, we're so excited to work with you, we're so excited for the call, or you say stuff like, oh yeah, so when we have the call tomorrow on the call, we're going to talk about how we can work together. Those things, they can feel sales pressure, so they don't show up or they cancel later. Okay, 5th one, they saw negative reviews or found out how much the program costs. So whether they found it on Reddit, they saw negative reviews, or how much the program is. Trustpilot, that's some negative things, or from people they know. Either negative things or price. Negative things, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? If you hear something about negative, then you're going to cancel or not show up to the call. And the price is, if they found out the program's like 10 grand, for example, they found it on a Reddit review, or they found it from a friend, they may cancel or want to hold off the call or not show up because you haven't built the gap from where they are now to where they want to go on the sales call. When you do that, then also when you're on the call, you can address concerns about the price. But when they just hear 10K, they're like, oh yeah, that's too much. Okay. So what are the solutions? So if they forgot, make sure they're being reminded. So make sure your automated text reminders are on. Not too often, but typically it goes something like 48 hours out, 24 hours out, and then maybe 3 hours and 1 hour, something like that, right? And also set the calendar setting like we talked about. So the leads can only book as far as 2 days out. If today's Monday, they can book as far as Wednesday. If you notice barely anyone shows up, for example, for your 6 a.m. Eastern time slot, for example, start your call availability till later and start testing that out. So especially if you sell from a different time zone like Europe or Australia or Asia, then this may happen. Because I've had this happen. Like during like a 6 a.m. Eastern slot, which is pretty like maybe like a 3 p.m. my time in Dubai. It's like, oh, like basically like no one's like booking in. And so unless you have leads from internationally, then you can have like Aussie leads book in. But unless that case, then no one's like either booking in or not showing up, then you want to start testing a little bit by little. Number 2, if they're getting annoyed too much, then you do less. So instead of sending one bulky text, you reduce it, right? Or you send them less text, but you start by removing one text or email at a time, or changing to shortening it one at a time, and then you keep reiterating the process. 3rd, they value the sales call less than whatever the other thing was. If that's the case, if you're setting your own calls, how you do that is make sure you're finding a tangible problem before booking the prospect for a call. This is one of the most common things I see when I'm reviewing calls from different reps, is they don't find a problem. They just find something vague of what the prospect wants. I was like, oh, I want to make more money. Well, no fucking shit, Sherlock. And then they booked it for a call. Typically, that's usually not enough. You don't need to make the prospect cry or then end up being like, oh man, my life is so frustrating. You don't need to go to that extent, but what's the actual tangible problem? And we'll go more over this in the skill set section of the program. But the tangible problem sounds like, if you're in a biz op, it sounds something like, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I've been doing that for like 2 years. I'm working too many hours. I can spend more time with my family. Those kind of things, right? Or if it's like, I don't have enough leads in my business, so I can't grow my business. It's been stagnating for like the last 2 years. You want to get something tangible. Okay. Reason why is because if they don't realize their problem, then they don't feel like they need a solution, because solutions are not needed unless there is a problem identified by the person. Okay. So you need to help them verbalize it. If the setters are booking the calls for you, then basically train them how the same thing with DM setters or outbound setters on the call, train them so that they make sure they get the actual tangible problem, and send prospect personalized and educational case study video where they see it and makes them want the results, and then get them to value the sales call more. As an example, the case study video that's sending them, right? If it's a door-to-door sales rep, I sent them door-to-door, like very tactical, very useful. It was like, oh man, this is actually very cool, like it's very useful. So they want to show up to the call more, right? Or if you send them a video, like you find out on the setting call or in the application form They're like, yeah, so I have like no sales experience and I just don't know, I'm trying to get better sales, right? Maybe send them a client case study video of a client that had no experience in that business or whatever the thing is. But by learning this XYZ mechanism, they're able to get the 10K a month. Now they're retire their parents and all kind of cool stuff, right? They're like, I want that. So that increases the demand of the product, of the solution, which makes them want to show up to the sales call more as a means to it. Okay. Now, next thing, they feel sales pressure. You want to remove, or you want to have your setters remove, and also in the email and on the VSLs, if possible. But start with the ones you can control first, which is probably like what the setters are saying, what you're saying, on the text or the email. So instead of something link is like, oh, we can have another call to talk about working with us. Remove things like, we're so excited to talk with you on Monday. Just be like, yeah, we can have a talk on Monday, right? Talk on Monday. Just be like that. Next thing, they saw negative reviews on or found out about how much the product costs on Reddit, so on and so forth. This one, it may take more effort. So talk to your sales manager or whoever about removing negative reviews if they're not true or accurate. Now, if it is accurate and it's a negative review, that's fair enough. Then talk to your delivery team to do a better job of taking care of your clients, so on and so forth, right? Because I don't really believe in removing negative reviews if it's true, right? Do better, right? So that might not be your fault, but it's still your what? Still your problem. And how do you do that? Talk to your delivery team. Hey, this is going on. This is actually hurting sales. What can we do to actually solve this? Come from a solution-oriented mindset, right? I think these are the solutions we can do. What about we hire this team to actually remove the negative reviews for us, so on and so forth. Okay. Another thing too, as a side note, is the pirated content, because I've had people that cancel calls or no show because they bought from some dude from Bangladesh that's like $50 like pirated content of the actual program. And so when we found that out, I went to the team and said, hey, so this is going on. Let's either bin them, let's block them, the scammers, and or also hire a team to remove those reviews. That helped as well. Okay. Now, here are the actual tangible steps, because we went through some information, but information ain't shit. You need to actually implement. If you don't implement this, you just wasted your time watching this video. Go do this. Number one, book on your own calendar as a test booking and go through all the pieces of communication that your prospects are getting. Okay. So you book on your own calendar using your own email and your own phone number. So you got to see, oh, these are the texts I'm getting, these are emails I'm getting, these are videos I got to see. Go through those videos because you got to see what they're seeing. Otherwise, you don't know. Right. And then after going through that, set a hypothesis based on these things, right? These root causes. Set a hypothesis, out of these things, or maybe something else, I think this is causing the no-show. I think it's because these texts look too automated. I think it's because I didn't find a tangible problem in the triage, or the setters are not doing it. I think that's why. And then make one change to that variable and test it on 20 to 30 book calls. If it's like 5 or 10, I typically find that it's not enough. So this will usually be a week worth of data, right? 20 to 30 book calls. And then compare the show up rate from before. And yes, you should be tracking at least your show up rate. If not, then I'll also put the tracker in the data section. Okay. And then you repeat this until your show up rate is 65% or higher. And I know, very boring. Okay. Now, in terms of changing this, for example, you can change something from your sales call and also change something from your call confirmation process, because those two things are kind of separate, right? Because you don't want to change two things on your sales calls, then change two things on your confirmation process, because what did what, right? But you can kind of go through this process, repeat until your show up rate is 65% plus. This is what I did. Go implement this. Let us know how it goes in the group. Let me know if you have any questions.